Und da sind wir wieder zurück mit Chuck O'Shea.
Close enough.
Close enough. Pronounce it one time for me, right?
O'Shea.
O'Shea.
Yeah.
O'Shea.
You just missed the at the end.
Okay.
But other than that, it was perfect.
Okay. Ja, wir reden hier immer noch ein bisschen über Gears of War. And Chuck, I would say I will play the trailer, the gameplay trailer now you brought us.
Yeah, this is actually a bunch of the campaign footage from our dam level.
Yeah, and maybe you can say something over the picture. You can
Sure.
From
Do you
the
want me
off.
to say something about Gears or just something in general?
Something in general.
Okay.
So, we have our main characters here now.
Right, this is the group of four, JD Phoenix, Kate Dell, and Marcus Phoenix, and they're actually approaching a dam called Tolan Dam, trying to find, that's where they think the swarm nest is. So Marcus is trying to figure out who the swarm are. His instincts are that they are behind this dam, this old abandoned dam, and so they're trying to make their way to the dam to be able to find out whether or not they're right. So they're on their way to the dam, and unfortunately in a second they're going to start meeting some resistance, and then you'll get to see the wind flare, which is a big environmental action that happens throughout the game that you get to deal with. So,
still got his cog tag.
Can you say?
Found out what happened to it.
I know you don't want to spoil too much for.
I'll spoil it all for you. That's what you want, Dan. What do you want to know?
Do we have something similar like the big worms in Part 2?
Oh, the rift worms?
Yeah.
No, there are no rift worms in this one. I think we've got stuff that's better than the rift worm, to be honest with you.
Okay. And
They can't all be infested, right?
especially the third
find
one.
out.
Yeah.
For me. Yeah. I played it through. I played with for friends of mine, and there was this big bromance from my experience
Yeah.
and from my impressions.
You like that, right?
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have the same
All right.
with Phoenix? With the Phoenix boys, do we have? I would say some more emotional presence between Marcus and his son. Is there
Yeah.
something similar to Marcus and Dom?
I think it's a little bit different because when you think about the first 3 Gears of War, it was in the middle of a war. So they had been fighting for 14 years. I think the way that people react to each other and relate to each other when they know that death could be around the corner is different than when you and I hang out with Brian and we're all just having a beer, right? Because we don't have to worry about being in a war. We don't have to worry about dying tomorrow. So the way that we react and our relationships are a little bit different. What you'll see over the course of the game, though, is because this threat is apparent, and now these guys who have never had to fight before have to start fighting for the first time, you get to see how their relationship with each other changes and how their relationship with Marcus, who's a seasoned veteran, starts to change.
And yeah, sounds reasonable.
Thanks, I'm glad you approve.
But no.
So this is they're approaching swarm. This is a swarm nest that's showing up right there, and these are juvies. And the juvies were actually designed as a multiplayer guy, which you're telling me about. Juvies were actually designed in a way to mimic really highly skilled multiplayer players, because what we find a lot in Gears is players will play through the campaign and they'll go into multiplayer for the first time, and the people who are highly skilled at multiplayer can wall bounce and do cancels, and they can move through the space faster than you and I can because we're not quite as good. So we actually created the juvies in such a way to mimic that behavior, so that as you're playing through the campaign, you're actually getting trained how to track players with shotguns and lancers and things like that. So when you get into multiplayer and you face somebody who's better, you're actually a bit more prepared for it than you would be otherwise.
And I read about that now you can choose, or if you're a beginner, if you're new to the game or new to the multiplayer, now you are able to play against your level.
Yep.
And not against pros.
We have a ranking system, which is great. You play 5 matches in order for you to get ranked, and then you wind up playing against people of like skill level, which we do in the studio. I play with the multiplayer team, which are all very good. We have some former pro players and things like that, and I get killed. And then we have studio play sessions with the entire studio, and we sort of rank people by their ability. And for me, those are much more fun because I'm competitive with everybody else. So it's really important that you play against people of a similar skill level, because I think it makes it much more enjoyable for people. But as you get better, you'll move up the rankings, and then you'll start to play against tougher and tougher people. So
yeah, it sounds nice, because I remember my first time being in the multiplayer of Gears of War. I had completely no chance.
Yeah, exactly.
No chance.
Yeah.
And
Well, we also allow you to play against bots now too. So you can set up a game where you play against bots and you can practice. You can practice on all 4 difficulty levels, all the way up to insane.
But this was for me, the decision. Okay, now I switch to the horde mode because I like more to fight back the waves. And
You're just not good enough to play competitive, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the
It's
problem.
okay. You don't have to be ashamed about it.
But there will be also another horde mode.
Yes.
Horde 3.0 or 3.0.
Horde 3.0. The reason it's called Horde 3.0 is because there was no Horde in Judgment, and there was no Horde in Gears of War 1, so it didn't show up until Gears 2. So yeah, this is a reinvention of Horde. Gears of War actually invented the Horde mode, which we've seen in other games, whether it's zombie mode or things like that. They've all copied it. So we've gone back to the drawing board and said, okay, how do we reinvent this in a way that is going to really excite people? And I think over the next couple of weeks, you'll start to see some more information coming out of Horde. But I can tell you we're playing it every day at the office, and it is a blast. It's the best Horde by far.
No,
You
I
gotta
take you
believe me,
serious.
Daniel. I wouldn't lie to you. We're best friends already.
Okay. Now I'm taking you serious, and I will. Yeah, I'm looking forward to play
Okay,
Horde.
good.
And there's another mode like, it's called Dodgeball.
Dodgeball, yes, that's a competitive mode. Yeah, it's one of the versus mode. And do you have the schoolyard game Dodgeball here in Germany?
In Germany, we have something called Völkerball.
Völkerball. Okay.
It's a
That
little
sounds
bit
dirty. Völkerball.
It could be a little bit dirty,
Okay.
especially if you play it with friends.
Yes.
But it's similar to dodgeball.
Okay.
In dodgeball, as far as I know, you have more than one ball, and you have this line where all the balls
Right.
are lying.
You run up to the line, you grab a ball,
Genau.
you
And
throw them at your opponent. If I hit you, you're out.
But if I catch,
Then anybody who's out comes back in.
Yes.
So that's how dodgeball works. There's no balls in the game, but if I kill you, you go into a queue. And then if somebody on your team kills somebody on my team, you come back into the game. So you get this ebb and flow of action where you can get down to, we had this happen the other day, it was a blast. We got down to 5 against 1. So one guy is trying to survive on his own. He gets 1 kill, and now suddenly it's 4 on 2. He gets another kill, and now it's 3 on 3. And suddenly, before you know it, everything's flipped over, and the guys who are down 5-1 have suddenly won the game. So that's what dodgeball is. It's this ebb and flow where things like Warzone, where you get 1 death and you're out, it tends not to be as much fun. But in dodgeball, every kill counts because you can come back at any time.
and then you don't have to be so high level skills.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we've
Win the
seen
game.
all types of different games. We see games end in like 30 seconds, or you can see games go on for 5 minutes at a time because it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth.
Would you say this is something that got esport potential?
We have a new mode for esports, which we think is really good, called Escalation. And it is a mode that's been designed specifically for esports. It was designed in conjunction with a bunch of pro Gears players that we brought in the office. And it's a variation on King of the Hill. There are actually 3 rings on the map, and the goal is to dominate either to a score threshold, or if you dominate all 3 maps at once, you hold all 3 maps or all 3 rings, the round ends. You play to first team to win 7, but what happens is after every single round, the losing team gets to place or take off a power weapon on the map. So they can say, hey, we really like the boom shot and we want it at this ring closest to us. So they can put it in a spot close to them, and suddenly now things have changed a little bit. So after every round, the losing team gets to change the strategy a little bit. But what we do is at halftime, after 6 rounds, we clear the map, change all the ring spaces, and then it starts again. So the thing that's really interesting about it, especially from a pro player standpoint, is after every single round, the respawn time increases by a few seconds. So the later you get on the map, if you die, it hurts your team a lot more. So there's that opportunity for teams to come back, because if they can eliminate somebody on the team, they'll get a bit more of a buffer before they come back into the game. So that's the one we'll be doing for Gears of War Esports Season 1.
And that's means you have to be a team.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
but there's a
Lone
ton
Wolf,
of strategy about it. So you play a lot of games and it's just TDM. There's only so much strategy you can have in that. When you get in something like Escalation, you have to worry about the rings, you have to worry about the power weapons, you have to worry about whether or not we want to take a power weapon off the map or we want to put a different power weapon on the map. You can really cripple another team if your strategy is sound.
but the winning team or the team that holds more than 1 point is also able to have some power weapons?
Well, they don't get to choose what the power weapon is for the next round.
Okay.
So if you lose, you get a bit of an advantage to try and even things up. So as long as you're winning, the other team is placing and taking off power weapons. But as soon as you lose, then you get that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, losing mustn't be bad all the time.
Exactly. you gotta keep things, gotta keep people on their toes.
And yeah, and that's one thing I also heard about Gears of War 4. It's one of the first game for the Xbox console or for all the platforms in 4K.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, especially, I mean, right now, the place you really want to see it is obviously on the Xbox One S, but also on PC. So on PC, if you have a great gaming rig, we support 4K. We support unlimited frame rate. So we uncap the frame rate. You can run it at whatever you want. We support dynamic resolution, and we have a benchmarking mode that allows you to take a look at over 30 different graphic settings to be able to optimize it for whatever you want. So the game looks amazing when it's running at a really high-end PC on a 4K screen.
And for some creative director like you, was it a big change? You told me in our short break that the first game the Coalition did was the remake of the first Gears of War.
Right, Ultimate Edition.
Ultimate Edition. And now the next game is on a much more higher level of graphics and everything, I would say.
Yeah.
Was it intimidating
It's always intimidating because there's a big expectation from the fan base about what Gears of War wants to be. And we have, I don't know if you know much about Gears of War fans, but they are probably more passionate than any fan base I've ever seen. You go on online and look for people with Gears of War tattoos. You'll see them. There are people that have put women who have put Marcus's tattoo on their chest. I've seen pictures of people cutting their wedding cake with a Lancer replica. I mean, our fans are unbelievably passionate, and they have lots of opinions about the game, and they share them with us, and we listen. So yeah, from that standpoint, it was very intimidating. But at the same time, building Ultimate Edition allowed us to really understand how Gears of War is made and why things work the way they work. And once you have that under your belt, it's easy to say, okay, now we've got a baseline of what we want the game to feel like. Now where do we take it in a different direction and start adding different things?
Yeah, but I don't know what is some kind of multiplayer you like to play in the past. Just say, I don't care which title or. Are you more the fast guy, the fast-paced game, or are you more like Gears of War? I would say, because for me, Gears of War, the characters or the fighters, the warriors you play, and also in the multiplayer, are more like tanks. They're more heavy and not this fast. So would you say this is something you're already a fan of, or it's something which belongs to Gears of War, like the Lancer, for example?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm a gamer, so I play everything, and when I play multiplayer, it depends who I'm playing with. My 16-year-old son is an amazing gamer, so we'll play Battlefield together, and I have to be the medic because I can't get the kills. I got to keep him alive, so that's my job. But I can beat his ass all over the place in Gears of War because I play it every day at work. So I think cover combat games are certainly owned by Gears of War, and I think that's why you've never seen something that's sort of duplicated what Gears feels like, whether it's the size of the characters or whether it's how they move through the environment. I think that's a distinctly Gears thing, and it's something we like to own, and we're very proud of.
But are there any, I would say, brave decisions you made where you're not sure, okay, I don't know if the fans will like it, but hey man, we have to do this?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I can't tell you about it. It's near the end of the campaign. I'm super excited for people to see it. I think I think people are gonna love it because it feels like Gears, but it is something that is very interesting and I think very exciting. And when you get to play it, you send me an email and tell me if you like it or not, because I love it. I think it's fantastic, but I can't talk about it right now. Sorry.
And you are afraid of mixed emotions from this decision?
I wouldn't say I'm afraid. We test everything a lot, and we have people in the studio who are great artists or great programmers that don't necessarily game a lot. And when you put that in their hands and they go, "Oh my God, this is amazing," that's very rewarding. So it's not the same as putting it into into your hands and letting you play it. But we do focus testing as well. So we've had people play through the game, and the feedback has been fantastic. So initially, you get very nervous about it because you go, oh, it's funny when you see the feedback from the fans. Some people will say, in fact, when we released some of our footage early on, people said, well, what do you want, flying robots? And I just sat there and laughed to myself because we just announced we have flying robots. So, people, you can't make everybody happy. I think that's just a reality of game development. Hopefully we make a lot of people happy, and I think fans of Gears of War, if you're a true fan of Gears of War, you're going to love this game because it really embodies what Gears of War is, and I think it moves the ball down the field in a way that's really exciting.
I think this is the perfect...
You ready to get rid of me?
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
No, it's okay. But wait. The more better words than this we cannot find for the end.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chuck.
Ah, danke.
So, you can also speak German.
Oh yeah, so much.
Ja, das war unser kleiner Einblick in Gears of War 4. Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Ich hoffe, ihr habt Blut geleckt. I hope they licked some blood. And want some more?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
And und ich bin jetzt auch gespannt. Ich werde jetzt gleich, I will follow Chuck to your booth.
All right.
And try to get some impressions from the
Play
game.
that.
Und guckt euch an. Vielleicht habt ihr auch Bock drauf. Ich bin gespannt. Und ansonsten vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Wir sehen uns sicherlich später noch hier auf dem Stream, auf YouTube oder wo auch immer. Vielleicht treffen wir uns auch hier persönlich in der Halle. Kann alles passieren.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.